All right, welcome in. Mot Sports. I believe it's like episode 7 or 8. I don't know how many we've done so far. But yeah, just gonna recap some March Madness. Some crazy stuff happened over the weekend. A lot of upsets that nobody was expecting. But first, how we doing, Zach? How we doing? How we doing over there?
I'm doing good, brother. Just got back from being out for my cousin's birthday. Had some dinner. It's pretty scrumptious. So yeah.
There you go.
I'm doing
Where'd
good.
you guys go?
I went to Texas Roadhouse.
Nice. Always a good choice. Always a good choice.
Yes, sir. I got me a nice New York strip.
Nice. Nice and good choice there. All right. So we'll jump into it here. I'll pull up my bracket. We'll talk about our picks from last week, see how we're doing. And yeah, we'll just kind of go through and recap what happened over the weekend. So here is my bracket. All right. Well, as you can see, Gonzaga took care of business as we expected here to the Sweet 16. They had a pretty easy path. Georgia State didn't really give them problems. But, Memphis, they had a 10-point lead at halftime. I thought Memphis was going to take it. But Drew Timme really showed out second half. I mean, he was on a mission that whole second half. And I think they woke up a beast in that second half for Gonzaga. He was kind of slow leading up to the tournament. He wasn't really as dominant as he was last year. Last year, he was scoring 20, 25 a game, no problem. This year, they've been kind of feeding through Chet Holmgren a lot. And they had better guards last year with Suggs and Kispert. So I guess it was easy to play off him more. But Timme definitely showed out against Memphis, against Jalen Duran. That was a good matchup. I was excited to see that matchup.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really like to see that too. But my takeaway, it looked like Chet got the upper hand for the most part. I mean, at least from the eye test.
Yeah. It's hard to guard him. 7'1", blocks everything around the rim. He's so tall. So I mean, they brought Timme out of the post a little bit, and he was even shooting threes. So that stretches the defense, and you just feed Chet, and he's got all day at the rim, which I think they're going to do against Arkansas here. But we'll talk about that when we get into the predictions. Next, we had an upset here. I had UConn going at least to the second round. We had New Mexico State pulling off the upset over UConn. Then we had Arkansas, as I predicted, going to the Sweet 16, squeaking by New Mexico State by 5 points. That was a pretty defensive game, pretty ugly, hard to watch. Did you have UConn winning that?
Yes.
I think if UConn New Mexico State here, they give them a better matchup, but it's all about how good you are that day.
True. Single elimination.
Yep. Notre Dame, they beat Rutgers in that play-in in the double overtime. They took care of business against Alabama first round. But Texas Tech, they're just too good defensively. That's going to be a really good matchup between Duke here. But Texas Tech is just too good defensively against Notre Dame. Didn't allow them to get going. That's what Texas Tech does best. They just win ugly. They're gonna play good defense and do enough to get wins. I really like the Raiders. And we had my Spartans, man. Freaking nail biter against Davidson, and then I was pretty much a nail biter against Duke. It was close throughout the whole game. We just didn't have an answer for Paolo Banchero. Every time he got the ball, he was going one-on-one with Joey Hauser. And it was just really frustrating to watch as a Spartan fan. So we didn't have anybody that could contain him. We didn't have anybody that could guard Paolo. And he if you get him going, they're hard to beat. He was very efficient, did everything at the rim, hit a couple threes, just played through him really well. And we just didn't have enough firepower. I think us scoring 76, if you asked me that before the game, I'd have taken that. I'd have been like, yep, I trust our defense enough to not let them score 76, but Duke just fills it up in a hurry.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, I was very, very impressed by Paolo Banchero's skill set.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was that solid of an all-around player. I mean, he can literally do anything and everything on the court.
Yeah, he's going to be the number one pick, I think. You got Jabari Smith, who just went out, so he can't really. I mean, he's not going to. He can improve his draft stock, but he's not going to be in these tight games that everybody's going to have their eyes on. So if Paolo keeps balling out and leads them to the Final Four, he'll definitely solidify that number one pick. I think it all depends who gets it, but I think he'll solidify that. We can go up here. Arizona, man, talk about a ending of a weekend. TCU. So Arizona was up 9. TCU goes on a 12-0 run. Then they're up 3. Arizona has to hit a 3 with 5 seconds left to get them into overtime. That was a crazy shot by Benny Mathurin. But Arizona, as long as they got by that upset killer and TCU, I think that was gonna be their hard matchup. Every team's got that one matchup that trips them up and can really give them problems. And TCU was hot. They blew out Seton Hall here. I mean, Seton Hall looked terrible. They blew them out, and TCU looked really good. I was shocked to see how good they looked, but they were playing the best game of their season. And Arizona just had enough in overtime to get by them. That was a really good game to end the weekend.
Yeah, that game had me sweating, man, because I did not take TCU in any single bracket I did.
No.
Like going that far at least.
I've got Arizona winning this. Then we got Houston, UAB. They took care of UAB. Illinois, Chattanooga. Talk about a close game. That was a really close game. Chattanooga was up a lot of that game. Illinois just did enough to win, but you're scoring 54 and 53 points. That's not going to get you wins in March. You need to score in the 70s or 80s to get wins. And Illinois just couldn't get it done. I mean, they had good enough offense. They just ran into a good Houston team. So that'll be a really good matchup here. Most surprising to me, Michigan. They took care of Colorado State. I had Colorado State winning that. More for my hatred of Michigan, but and then Michigan against a hot Tennessee team who just came in off the SEC championship win, and they took care of Longwood pretty easily. And then that was a pretty good game too, because I think Michigan was down a lot of that game, weren't they?
In the Colorado State or Tennessee?
The Tennessee game.
Yeah, I believe they were down like 8 or 9 or maybe 10 at one point.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah. So,
resilient, man. Makes me think, why didn't Michigan play Frankie Collins all season? He's been playing very well these 2 tournament games, and he looks like a brand new player for that team. And I'm just wondering why they're playing Devontae Jones over him. He looks very good for that team. And if he was playing all season, they wouldn't even be an 11th seed. I mean, he's been playing that well. Was he injured all year?
I'm not quite.
Freshman. He's only a freshman, so maybe Juwan didn't trust him, and he trusted the grad transfer instead. But I mean, he looks really good for them. I'm shocked that he didn't get any playing time this year.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what I've seen from Collins too. He's more of like a game manager point guard to me, but like he won't get you in trouble. Like he won't make too many mistakes that'll affect like the result, you know?
Right.
But then he also does enough to help your team win. So I like seeing that from him.
Then we had Ohio State Loyola, which I had Loyola in this game. They just shot terrible. So bad. Picked the worst game to do it. Ohio State only scored 54, but I think Loyola shot like 20% from the field or whatever it was. So that was a tough pill to swallow there. But Villanova, I mean, 80 and 71, they took care of the business against both teams. Ohio State kept it a little close there, but Villanova just too strong, too well coached. Definitely liked them going here and actually beating Tennessee. So I liked that a lot. I think we all had Villanova going pretty far. They're usually always pretty good in March.
That's correct. I had them going far too. Or I do.
Yeah. All right, we're getting down here. Got Baylor. They took care of Norfolk State, and UNC took care of Marquette. I got my first upset prediction right. I had UNC over Baylor here. I just liked Baycott. I liked his size. And, yeah, they almost blew that huge lead. Baylor was roaring back, but they did close it out in OT. That was a very good game. UNC, when they're hitting threes, they're really hard to beat. Did you have UNC too, or did you have Baylor?
So in some brackets, I took Baylor, but then in other brackets, I took North Carolina.
Okay. I only made like 2 or 3 brackets this year. I was keeping it kind of small, so I didn't have to pay attention to a lot.
Right, yeah. I ended up doing 7.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you got time, do it. Why not? Nailed the St. Mary's, Indiana matchup. That was pretty easy. It was easy to fade IU, even though they won the play-in against Wyoming. Easy to fade them. And then UCLA almost had a tough game against Akron, but they really showed up against St. Mary's and showed why they're going to be one of the harder teams to knock out here. Nailed this region. So this region was looking pretty good for me. UCLA, North Carolina. That'll be a really good matchup.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to watch that.
Texas did very good, I think. I mean, Purdue was very good against Texas, but Texas did very good against Virginia Tech here. A lot of people had Virginia Tech pulling off the small upset here because of how good they looked in the ACC tournament. But I'm sure you rolled with the Longhorns. I think you did roll with Texas. Yeah, you did. I remember you saying that. And
I'm glad that my boys proved me wrong, though.
Yeah.
I appreciated seeing that.
Yeah, they'll be better next year. They just had a lot of new players, and it's hard to build that chemistry up. They had like 5 transfer guys in there.
Right, and it's Chris Beard's first year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's going to take some time.
We had Murray State beating San Francisco in a good game. Then upset of the weekend was Kentucky going down, and that busted a lot of brackets first day. St. Peter's, the Peacocks, beat Kentucky in overtime, 85-79. Tough game to watch.
It definitely was.
Tough game to watch if you were a Kentucky fan. But if you're just a March Madness fan, it was a great game to watch because St. Peter's just kept answering. Every time Kentucky would do something, St. Peter's would respond. And that's what you like to see. But, yeah, they're playing Purdue here in the Sweet 16, and shoot, who knows what will happen in that game. We have up here, we had Kansas easily taking care of business against Texas Southern. Creighton went in a dogfight against San Diego State. So I got both of those right. That was a toss-up that San Diego State won. Creighton just did enough. And then I think if Creighton didn't have their Big East Defensive Player of the Year center tears ACL against San Diego State, they give Kansas a really good run here.
Yeah, that was a big injury. That was a huge miss for Creighton.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had Kaluma score like 24. That dude couldn't be stopped against Kansas. I mean, you add Kalkbrenner's defense down low into that. That makes it a really tough out. But Kansas does enough just to get by here. And then I was pretty bad down here. I had Iowa beating Richmond. Richmond pulled off the upset. Then Richmond throws up a dud here against Providence, who I had San Diego or South Dakota State winning. So, yeah, I was pretty off on this area. And I think I actually have Iowa in the Final Four here. They really disappointed me after that Big Ten tournament. I was really disappointed in what the Hawkeyes brought out that first day. I think 9 times out of 10 they beat Richmond, but what can you do? Richmond really played decent. I think they even got lucky to get in because they beat Davidson in that A-10 final.
Well, yeah, and before that they beat Dayton.
Yeah, they beat Dayton and Davidson, and then They did enough to beat Iowa. I think, but Iowa. If you tell me that Richmond scored 67 points before that game, I would say Iowa's going to score 80. So I mean, Iowa's a really good offensive team, and I'm like, oh, they're only scoring 67. I'll take Iowa. Yep, but
Right.
good job by Providence here taking care of business. I shouldn't have slept on them as much as I did. I liked them all season. Just their performances in the Big East tournament had me a little skeptical, but they woke up at the right time and going to the Sweet 16. I had Iowa State beating LSU. I liked the Hawkeyes, or not Hawkeyes, the Cyclones, excuse me. Then Wisconsin beating State. And then I actually had Wisconsin beating Iowa State here. Wisconsin played so bad in that game. It was really hard to watch that one too.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, Wisconsin looked like Iowa against Richmond playing Iowa. Like, they just look like that's not like who they are. Like you said, if Iowa and Richmond were to play 9 out of 10 times, Iowa would win 9 out of 10 times. Same exact scenario, I feel like, applies to Wisconsin, Iowa State. Iowa State got so lucky. But also,
they did.
They played extremely tough defense, and they hustled all game long. So
they
just
did.
wanted it more that day.
Yeah, I mean, you're scoring 59 and 54 points here. They can't score the ball. So you think Wisconsin, okay, all they have to score is 55 points to win. If you tell me that before the game, I'm once again going with Wisconsin. Johnny Davis scores 20 all by himself, but Johnny Davis hasn't looked right since he got hurt. So him getting hurt really hurt their chances here. And they had Chucky Hepburn go down first half with an ankle injury.
Right.
And that just, with Davis hurt, playing injured, and Hepburn out for a game, they just didn't have enough. They just didn't have any answers. And Iowa State did just enough to get by. But yeah, that'll be an interesting 10-11 matchup down here. So, yeah, Miami taking care of USC. That was a really good game. Glad my Canes pulled through. Love the Canes. Was on them all my brackets. I had the Canes beating USC and Auburn. Auburn took care of business here. I just knew versus Pearl's teams, they shoot a lot of threes. So if they go up against a good offensive team and they're not hitting all their shots like Miami here, Miami can give them a good run. And, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Auburn just kept breaking too many shots, and you can't do that in March, man. You just can't. They didn't have a good post game. You have to have at least somewhat down low game or have good guards. And Auburn, they had Jabari Smith, but their guards lacked a little bit, I think.
Right, yeah, and I was going to say, man, I believe I took Miami over Auburn with you last week, if I remember correctly.
It's a good call. Yeah. A lot of people saw that Circa Sportsbook when that game was on, and a lot of people were on Auburn. And I'm just screaming, let's go Canes. I was so excited when they won.
Nice.
But now we're going to get into the predictions here. I'm going to pull up the second chance. Second chance bracket here. And we'll talk about matchups and who we like.
Let's do it.
This weekend. Yeah. So first, Gonzaga, Arkansas. I'll let you go first. Tell me who you like and why.
Okay, so I'm going Gonzaga. Yes, they had a couple scares in the first two games against Georgia State and then Memphis, especially last game against Memphis because, you know, they really took them down to the wire. But, you know, I'm just not that impressed with Arkansas. I feel like they can be a very slow starting team. And I don't know, they just don't really play with like a whole lot of composure sometimes, I feel like. So,
yeah,
you know, Mark Few, give me him over Musselman any day for coaching, you know. And then I just like Gonzaga's players better than Arkansas. Don't get me wrong, Arkansas has a couple nice guys like Smith and Note. And there's another guy in there too I like a lot. I believe he's their wing, like they're starting.
They got Jalen Williams, good center, good 6'9". It's a lot of boards. Yeah. JD Note and Stanley Umide.
Yes, him, Stanley.
Yeah, he hits good threes too. He can hit some shots. But yeah, if one of those threes is off, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, and I'm taking Nemhard. I'm taking Nemhard, Timmy and Holmgren over what Arkansas has. So I just think Gonzaga is going to be too much for them. The talent levels aren't, close in my opinion. So I'm going Gonzaga.
Yeah, Notre is going to have to score 30 for them to even have a chance, and they only scored 53 points against New Mexico State. I want to say they played New Mexico State, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm going to go.
They had a shitty showing against Texas A&M in the SEC tournament.
They did, yeah. I'm with you with the Zags, man. I think that Memphis game woke them up. They'll be ready to play. Timmy is also awakened. Timmy is going to take over against Jalen Williams, and you got Chet Holmgren mismatch. They don't have a lot of size, Arkansas, so Gonzaga is just going to attack the post and then kick it out for threes, which they've got some good three-point shooters with Bolton and Nemhard and Strother. So I think that Gonzaga will run by them easily. I would take Gonzaga's spread this weekend, even though I love Arkansas. I like Gonzaga a lot. Next matchup here, we got Texas Tech defensive team versus Duke, very good offensive team. So this is interesting here. This game's being played in San Francisco, like that first game. Yeah, dude, this is a really tough one to call. I'm gonna go with Duke. I like what Ben Carroll's doing right now. I think that he'll be a mismatch for them. Plus, they got Trevor Keels, Mark Williams down low. Texas Tech's going to have to hit some shots to keep up with Duke's offense. I just don't know if they've got the offensive firepower to do it. They relied a lot on McClung last year to do that. This year, they rely on Terrence Shannon, but the guy that averages over 12 or 13 points a game. So Duke's got 4 dudes that can do that. I just like Duke's offensive firepower over Texas Tech. And I don't think Texas Tech's going to be the team to knock off Coach K. So I'm going to take Duke here.
Gotcha. Yeah, honestly, I'm switching up my pick from last week because I know last week I said, I have Texas Tech beating Duke. And I still think they can beat them. But at the same time, I think I'm more impressed with what I've seen from Duke compared to Texas Tech recently. Like you said, they kind of struggled with Notre Dame. Texas Tech did. And, I mean, yeah, they pulled away towards the end, but that game was a little too close for my liking, And
yeah,
I really like the way Duke came storming back against Michigan State. I mean, it looked like Michigan State was going to run away with that game on multiple occasions towards the end, and then Duke just kept rallying back every time. They refused to die. I mean, they have a crazy, resilient team. They're playing their hearts out for Coach K. I like riding momentum waves, so I'm going Duke.
Me too. Yeah, I think this is Duke's year to make a good run, and everybody wants to see this matchup right here. So I'm going to go with Duke. Down here, we're going to go with UNC versus UCLA. I'll have you go first. Who you think is going to win? Because I'm going to stick with my predictions from my bracket for these two because I got both those. I've got both my teams in here. So.
Yeah, this one's really tough. I would say this is probably one of the harder games to pick of this, particular Sweet 16 slate. But if I had to choose, and you're pulling my leg here, I'm going North Carolina. I'm going North Carolina because no, that I like that almost collapse they had against Baylor, giving up that huge lead and almost losing it. No. But they did find a way to close it out, even though, it got really close. They found a way to get the win. And something about this team, they just seem like they could really surprise a lot of people and make a far deep run, compared to what they already have, of course. But I mean, I really like what they had to offer, so I'm going slight upset. I know it's not a big one. I'm going UNC.
Yeah. I mean, UNC, so they either look really bad like they did against Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament, or they look really good like they did against Baylor. So you don't know what team you're going to see. UCLA is pretty consistent. You know what you're going to get from them. You're going to get Jaime Jaquez. You're going to get Jules Bernard. You're going to get Tiger Campbell. You're going to get Johnny Juzang. You're going to get 4 main guys that could all score. They could all do different things. So if RJ Davis and Caleb Love are on, if they're hitting their threes, if they both are hitting, UNC probably wins with Baycott getting good rebounds because UCLA has decent size, but Baycott's the best rebounder in that game. But if UCLA, they got Tiger Campbell. He's going to really slow them down, get them in their sets. You got Johnny Juzang. He's going to hit some good shots. I think this is going to be a Johnny Juzang game. He hasn't really had one of those in this tournament yet, and I think that he's going to have one against UNC. So I'm going to pick UCLA here. It'll be a pretty good game here. This game is being played in Philly. So East Coast, I'm going to give the advantage in terms of East Coast teams, that just with the time change and everything. But, I mean, UCLA, I just think will do more down the stretch to limit UNC. And then I think they can score with anybody. So I'm going to pick UCLA. I also have it in my main bracket too, so I'm going to stick with my guns there. Here we go. Next matchup. All right, we got Purdue, one of my favorite teams this season, versus St. Peter's, Cinderella story. I'm going to stick with Purdue here. I mean, you're giving Purdue 5 days to prepare for St. Peter's, where Murray State had 1 day. So you're giving teams a lot more time to prepare, watch film. I think the luck runs out here. I think if Purdue that game last game in Texas was one of those games where if you get by this team, you're going to be okay. Like that's going to be one of those trip-up games, and they got by the trip-up game with Texas because Texas gave them everything they had. That was the best I've seen Texas play all season with Marcus Carter finally hitting shots. So, but I'm going to take Jaden Ivey here. Jaden Ivey, he took over against Texas. He threw down some good dunks, hit some good threes. And St. Peter's doesn't have a guy to guard 7'4" Edie. They just don't. I mean, nobody has a team. Nobody has a guy or a player to guard him in this tournament, I would say, except for Holmgren. So I'm going to go with Purdue here just because they've got so much depth and they've got the best player.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much spoke my sentiments that I have gathered for this particular game. Edie's huge, man. I mean, that's 7'4". You can't teach size, man. And St. Peter's is going to be getting punished by him all game long. And then, like you said, Ivy is a phenomenal player. He's going to get his. I just don't. I mean, St. Peter's they've had a great run, but I think it comes to an end. I have Purdue. Purdue's going to be way too much. I feel like Purdue wins by at least 12. At least.
I think so too. I would take that.
Yeah.
All right, here we got Arizona. This is an interesting game here. You got Houston. They're a really good, fundamentally sound team. Versus Arizona, Benedict Mathurin, Tabulis, Terry. They got good players, but they got the best player in this game. I'm always going to lean towards the team with the best player because we saw him take over against TCU, and, man, he shot himself off draft boards that day. So I'm going to take Arizona, who I'm riding with. I wrote they're my pick to win it in my main bracket. So I'm going to stick with them here. I'm not going to go away from them now.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going the Wildcats as well. I feel like just like for Gonzaga with the Memphis game, I feel like the TCU game was a wake-up call for Arizona. So I feel like from this point forward, you'll see them playing their absolute best ball with minimal mistakes. I'm going Arizona.
Yeah, I just think Benedict Mathurin's going to be much for them. I mean, if Houston had Sasser, but they don't have him anymore. So I'm going to take Arizona. Then we got your Michigan Wolverines versus Villanova. I'll let you lead this one off. Tell me who you like and why.
Okay, so last week on the pod, I had Michigan beating Colorado State, and when I predicted that, I said I think Juwan Howard's going to rally the troops. You know, there's a lot of talk going around the university, you know, given Juwan's recent incidents and everything. So felt like they'd come to play for them, and they've done a great job. I mean, that Tennessee win was phenomenal. They looked like they were going to lose that game, you know, but they found a way to win and pull through. But just like with St. Peter's, I feel like the run ends here, unfortunately, because I just like Villanova that much better. Jay Wright, I mean, you got to put him in the same breath as Tom Izzo, Coach K, as far as guys that like
absolutely
really get their teams and players ready for the tournament in March. And they get their guys ready for March, the month of March, you know. And
always do. They always do.
I just like what I've seen from Villanova, like from the start of the season until now, better than what I've seen from Michigan, start of season until now. So I'm going Wildcats.
Whoops. I will agree with you there. I think I had Villanova in my main, so I'm going to stick with them here. Definitely did not have Michigan winning, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. So you got Hunter Dickinson, who went off for 28 or 30 against Tennessee. He was going off that game. He was hitting threes. He was hitting everything. Play through Hunter, Michigan will have a chance. Frankie Collins has been good. Caleb Houston has been hitting some good shots. Yeah, Eli Brooks hitting good shots. Michigan has the players to do it. They have the players to pull off this upset. So I think it's going to be a really tight game, but Villanova has, once again, the best player, Colin Gillespie, in this game. And he did not come back for his 5th year or 6th year. I don't know. He's been there forever. He's just your typical Jay Wright guard. I think I said on the pod last week I would take his plus 3,000 odds for a tournament, player of the tournament. I should look at those right now and see what they are. I didn't touch it yet. I should have last week, but if Villanova gets through, it's going to be because of him, and he's been playing well all year. Plus, they've got some good perimeter guys that can match up pretty well in Michigan. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a really tight game, a lot tighter than what people think. But I think Villanova does just enough. Once again, like you said, Jay Wright in March. We have to put in that same breath as Izzo and Kay and Mark Few and Bill Self. You got to put them in that category of really good college coaches. He'll get his team ready. 5 days to prepare for Michigan.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Few and Self in that category. My apologies.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. Talking about Self, we got Kansas versus Providence here. I'm rolling with the Jayhawks. I think I have my main too. I'm going to roll with Kansas here to get to Providence. Providence, they've got good players, but Kansas has Ochai Agbaji. McCormick down low is going to give Watson problems. Watson's not a very good rebounder for being 6'9". Providence can hit threes, though. So Providence hitting threes. This is going to be a close matchup, just like that Creighton game. But I think Kansas, with Christian Braun and Agbaji, they just have too much firepower offensively. And they had Remy Martin, player of the tournament for them so far. He's finally looking like that guy that transferred from Arizona State last year. And he went off for like 20 last game against Creighton. He's the reason why they won. I'll go with Kansas here. Just too much offensive firepower.
Yeah. I don't mean to sound like a broken record here, but I'm going to agree with you again. I'm going Kansas. I just don't think Providence has enough to get the job done. I mean, unless they hit all their shots, like you were saying, like they take a lot of threes and they hit a good percentage of them. And then, any team has a chance then. But
yeah,
I just don't. Yeah. Self will have the troops ready. I just feel like they're going to at least the Elite Eight, like before they get put out. But I got them in one bracket. I have Kansas winning it all. So, and then the majority of my brackets, I have them in the Final Four. I don't think I have them getting eliminated in the Elite Eight. So,
I mean, now looking at who they have to go through, yeah,
right.
They can easily,
and especially now. Yeah.
Next matchup, Iowa State versus the Canes. I'm going to go with my Canes here. I'm going to keep rolling with them. I thought this game was going to be Miami versus – who did Iowa State beat last game? I already forgot. But Wisconsin. I thought it was going to be Wisconsin versus Miami here, and I give the edge to the Badgers. But I'm going with my Canes here. Guard play gets you really far in March. They've got 3 good guards. Gusty Wong and Charlie Moore. Plus, they got a big that can shoot threes. They just have Iowa State cannot score 60. And Miami will run them. They're going to easily score 60. Even though Iowa State has a good defense, Miami, their offense is just better. So I'm going to go with the Canes.
Yeah, give me Canes as well. I mean, I love their athleticism. I love the way they play for Larinaga. He's done a great job during his tenure there. I don't know. I mean, I liked what I seen from Iowa State a lot against Wisconsin, but I liked what I seen from Miami against Auburn more. And I just like their team better. So I'm going Miami. I'll take the Canes.
I like it. All right, next year we got Gonzaga versus Duke. Give me the Zags. Got them reach my Final Four. They've got good players to match up against Duke, and it's going to be a very offensive game. I just think the Zags, which this game being played in San Fran, they're going to have that home crowd edge. Timmy's playing very well. They've got a lot of size. They'll have too much size for Duke. Duke doesn't have a lot of bigs, so if one of them gets in foul trouble, Gonzaga is just going to eat. So I'm going to take the Zags there.
I'm going Zags as well. I think this is where Coach K's last game happens. I got Gonzaga winning the regular season rematch here.
Yep. I mean, hand off the torch to Mark Few, the next dominant college coach. Makes sense.
Right.
And Gonzaga's kind of the new Duke, you know? They really are.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely make that case for sure.
Here we got UCLA Purdue. In my main, I had UCLA. And I had this matchup in my main too, and I think I went with UCLA just because of their experience, but I really like Jay Ivey and what he's been doing. I'm torn. But I'm going to roll with my initial gut, which had me picking UCLA, and going to have this Western this matchup here in New Orleans, this West Coast matchup. I really like this matchup here. And I would love to see Edey go against Chet, but I'm going to go with UCLA to pull off that win against Purdue there.
Give me the makers.
Purdue? Fair enough.
Yeah. I think Edey will eat, because like you alluded to earlier, UCLA has decent big men and decent size, but they don't have it, like a real impact guy for a big. And then Ivy. I mean, I feel like Ivy will keep up with Juzang. Him and Juzang will, probably go back and forth. But I just feel like Purdue will get more rebounds and they'll have more of a presence on the inside. And I feel like that's what'll get the job done for them.
Yeah, it'll be a really good offensive game there. Excited to see that one if they do match up against each other. Up here, Arizona Villanova. I'm going to go with Benedict Mathurin and the Wildcats to take care of Villanova Wildcats. I'm going to go with Arizona here. I think a lot of people have this matchup, but just think Arizona is going to be in really good form. We've seen what Villanova can do when they barely score, which they're not too good. Arizona is always going to score 70 to 80, so I'm going to always take those teams just because I think the percentage is higher for that win. And I also just think they're a better team at this point in time than Villanova. What you got?
I'm going to go with Arizona as well.
Figured.
Yeah, I love Mathurin, but I also like Koloko.
Koloko's nice.
I feel like Villanova, they have Samuels besides Gillespie, but I think Arizona has more talent.
And they got a lot more size at the rim.
Exactly. So it'll be a uphill battle for Villanova to try to pull that off against Arizona. I feel like I'm taking Arizona Wildcats. It's the battle of the Wildcats.
Well, I agree 100%. And I think I had Kansas in my Final Four, too. No, I had Iowa over here. So Iowa screws us once again. But I had Kansas in my other bracket. So I'm going to go with the Jayhawks here, beating Miami. I know I love my Canes, but Kansas will just prove to be too much. They've been here before, and Canes making the Elite Eight. Hey, you can't be upset with that. That's a really good season for them. But I think Kansas is just going to prove too strong for Miami there, with their guard play, and with this game, where's this game being played? Chicago, Kansas, give me the edge with the fans too. They're going to have a little bit of that home crowd behind them. I'm going to roll Kansas.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Kansas as well. I mean, I just like Arizona, just like Gonzaga, I really like their teams a lot as far as like from top to bottom. I feel like they have solid rosters top to bottom. No real weakness anywhere, and they got a lot of strength. So I'm going Kansas.
I like it. All right, here, Gonzaga, UCLA. Who do you got?
I'm going the Zags.
Yep.
I feel like their size and the down low play, the paint play, is just going to be too much for UCLA. Timmy and Chet Holmgren will have huge games.
Yeah, Timmy, they awoken a beast last game. Memphis did, and he's just gonna will his team to the championship game, I believe. UCLA, I mean, this is a rematch from last year, isn't it? So UCLA will have revenge on their mind, so they'll have a lot to play for if we see this matchup. Johnny Juzang can go off, but just give me Gonzaga. They're just so strong. They're just so well put together. They're hard to beat. You're going to have play a perfect game, and I haven't seen UCLA play a perfect game all season. So I'm going to take Gonzaga. Here, Arizona, Kansas, I'm rolling with my Wildcats. This is my original matchup, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to change it up now. The battle of Mark Hugh versus his old former assistant of 20 years. Can't remember his name right now, but he was their coach for 20 years before he went to Arizona. And I just think we're going to see that rematch here in New Orleans. So I got Arizona beating Kansas.
I'm going Kansas.
Yeah.
I feel like Kansas will watch some of that TCU film, and I feel like Self will, capitalize on some things that Arizona messed up with or mistakes they made. And I don't know. I just feel like they'll have like a really concrete game plan and like a well put together game plan to be able to take down the Wildcats. I'm going Jayhawks.
McCormick's going to have 20 points. That's what TCU centers he did, and he just brought the energy for that whole team. He was going off. Lumpkin Jr., Eddie Lumpkin Jr., that dude was going insane. So McCormick's going to have to bring the energy. Otherwise, Koloko is going to have a nice, easy game with that good size. And we're going to see Ochi versus Matherin. So it's going to be a really good matchup if we see that. I just lean Matherin. I think he's the more pro-ready guard anyway. But I really like Benedict Matherin. I'm probably going to, after we hop off, take his odds for player of the tournament. I think that if Arizona wins, which I'm going to predict here, that he will be the player of the tournament. I'm going to stick with my same score as well. And, I think that I'm going to take the Wildcats to win the national championship against Gonzaga.
Okay, yeah. If this ended up being the championship, I think I take Gonzaga just because, like, I feel like, they got so close to winning it last year. They had that huge disappointment against Baylor in the championship game. And then other years in the recent past, they've had runs, but they've not been able to fully finish the job off. Well, I think this is the year they finally, break through and they get that coveted and elusive first title.
I mean, that's going to be a really good game.
I also like Gonzaga against Kansas too, if Kansas beats Arizona. So
and you like Gonzaga as well. So Gonzaga is your pick to win it. I like it.
Yes.
All right. So that's it for the predictions. Next week, what's the date today? 22nd. So next week, we will actually be through the Elite Eight games. So we will have Final Four predictions. We will review our bracket here, and we will review our main bracket as well to see what we've gotten right, what we got wrong, predictions for the Final Four, and give you guys insight on who we're feeling and maybe some bets, some player props that we can look at and discuss for next week. But yeah, we'll be into the Final Four after we'll be into the Final Four for our next episode. We'll have those matchups determined.
Yeah.
All right. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at MontMedia1, our Instagram, MontMedia1, our TikTok at Mot Sports. We'll be posting all prediction videos, highlight clips for the upcoming matchups for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, plus Final Four. But yeah, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yes,
All
I was
right,
going to say any and all support will be much appreciated. Any like, any subscribe, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Any and all input will help. We're just trying to grow outreach and really blow up and become big. So yeah, any and all support would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right, that does it for me. Anything you'd like to add?
I'm excited for this weekend, man. I'm excited for Thursday. See how the first day of games get going, and then the rest of the weekend. See who's in the Final Four.
Well, I'm signing off. Great chatting with you as always, and we'll hit you guys back up next week for another video. Take it easy.
All right. Have a good one, man.
You too.